So I kind of said, forget the speeches. If the world were going to be saved on the basis of speeches, we would have arrived at the promised land some time ago. I think it's really about pictures. And I discovered that people remember pictures long after they've forgotten speeches. So I decided to take some pictures of my work, not of my travel to Africa, but my work in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I actually was a ceramic artist, and I will apologize up front because my life and my work are interconnected. So you'll hear a little bit of autobiography while I'm talking about what I do. But the story is really about me as a public school kid. And I was kind of walking down the high school corridor when I was 16 years old, kind of minding my own business. And the art room door was opened up, and I looked in, and there was this fellow sitting over a potter's wheel, and he made a great big old ceramic bowl. Have you ever seen ceramics done? It's very dramatic. You take a piece of clay, you make a vessel. It's magic. And it was one of those life experiences that cut through me before I had a chance to kind of defend against it. You know, when your guard's down and something really gets through. And I was blown away by the experience, and I was kind of standing there at the door. And finally, the guy whose name was Frank Ross said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "What is that?" He said, "Well, it's ceramics." I said, "I want to learn how to do that." He said, "Well, get your homeroom teacher to sign a piece of paper that says you can come here, and I'll teach it to you." So for the remaining 2 years of high school, I cut all my classes and went to art. But I had the presence of mind to give the pottery I was making to the teachers whose classes I cut. And they gave me passing grades, and that's how I got out of Oliver High School. And Frank said, "You're too smart to die, and I don't want it on my conscience because I'm leaving this school and I'm taking you with me." And Frank drove me out to the University of Pittsburgh, where he insisted I fill out a college application in pencil. And I got in on probation because no one along the way had ever told us about the scholastic aptitude test. So I got into Pitt on probation. Well, I'm now a trustee of the University of Pittsburgh. And at my installation ceremony, I said, don't give up on the poor kids because they don't fit a certain profile. You never know where those kids are going to end up. I was also the commencement speaker this year for 13,000 people. And I started off the speech with that story. So what I'm going to talk to you about for a couple of minutes is what I do for a living. But it's also a reflection of a very deep set of convictions I have about people and kids and human beings and human dignity and doing things the right way. That's our dining room. And the reason it's in here is the black kids and white kids are eating together voluntarily. My civil rights speech is everybody's going to get along, go to class. And it's worked out fabulously. You don't need a task force or a study group or a seminar to treat people like a human being. We have learned that if you build a facility to world-class standards, people will forget their differences and recognize their similarities. I noticed that the box said Holland on it. What's that about? He says, oh, well, we buy them from Holland. I said, Holland like Amsterdam, Europe. He said, yeah. I'm thinking, wait a minute, man. Amsterdam is cold and Pittsburgh's cold, and Amsterdam's gray and Pittsburgh's gray. Why can't you grow tomatoes in Pittsburgh? So on the basis of that scientific analysis, I sent one of my guys to Holland, and he came back and said, yeah, they're growing tomatoes in Holland, all right. Right at the airport, where they load them on 747s and fly them to Kennedy Airport every night across the Atlantic Ocean. And you will be even more amazed about this point. All the technology that they were using was developed in Pittsburgh. I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, think of what's a greenhouse. I said, a greenhouse is aluminum, glass, and plastic. Bayer, plastic. PPG, Pittsburgh Plate Glass, that's a Pittsburgh company. You ever heard of Alcoa Aluminum? That's a Pittsburgh company. And we don't have a demonstration greenhouse for their products in Pennsylvania. Hello? Well, we're going to have one now because David said he will buy all the tomatoes that we grow at premium. And so we're working to convert an old steel mill site to a 9-acre cluster stem tomato facility. Just as sure as you're sitting in this room, man, in 2 years, I'm going to have 60 ex-steel workers growing tomatoes on an old steel mill site in Pittsburgh. Now, if that doesn't get us a left-hand column in the Wall Street Journal, you tell me what will. Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania, it costs $40,000 a year to keep people in jail, a lot of whom look like me. It costs $31,000 to go to medical school. It's $9,000 cheaper to go to medical school than to keep people locked up. It's $8,000 for my vocational school and $3,000 for the art program. So just do the math. We're going to bankrupt the country, probably yours too, and maybe the world if we continue with this foolishness. The ultimate antidote to terrorism is what I just showed you. See, terrorism can't find a root in healthy soil. So the answer is you got to make all the communities healthy, and then terrorism will go away. It's going to take a long time to do it, but I believe it's possible. I also have decided that what I'm really after, very much like my colleague Jennifer, is I want to change the planet. I'm not after building another program. I want to change this whole game. And we have 4 countries now that are talking to us about building centers. Sao Paulo, Brazil, Kingston, Jamaica, Belfast, Ireland, and London, England. And I'm going to accept the challenge. I'm that close to getting Colin Powell to come see me in Pittsburgh because I want the general to bring it up to at least a national and not of a world-class level. And I want to get on with this. And I want to do it in my lifetime. What I've built is a place of sanctuary. I've watched gangs come up to the front door and not cross the threshold, and we have no police in the building, no cameras, and no theft in 20 years of operation, no racial incidents, no drugs, no alcohol, and no teenage pregnancies, and a couple $100,000 worth of art, and we ain't lost anything. If y'all come, I'll take you to my old high school 4 blocks away, steel doors, cameras, and bars, same kids, same neighborhood. Quality and excellence and the human spirit is a universal thing. And I believe that the antidote for what is troubling us is to rebuild our communities. And you guys are all part of it because you have companies, you're associated with where you live, and I think we can do it on common sense and decency. I don't think we need another report or a task force on how to be human beings. I've decided that my mission in life is to try to do the right thing for the remaining years that I have. I've also decided that I really do want to change the planet, and there are a lot of people like these guys walking around who are good people, just like yourselves. The reason I know you're good people is the way that you responded to the pictures. I figured out that those aren't just my pictures, those are your pictures. That's why you recognize something up on the screen, because it's in your head too. So it's a universal language. The other thing I can tell you, just like one of them salmon, you're swimming up the stream every day of your life because there's never enough money or enough will to do the right thing. And it produces some loneliness from time to time. So one of the real reasons I do these presentations is that I figured out the antidote to my profession. If you make friends in every city that you are, you'll never be lonely. And my hope is that I've made a few friends here this morning. Thanks for listening to what I had to say.